Hey everyone, welcome to my masks project explanation. I'm just going to take you through this as quickly as possible to give you as expansive as explanation for what you need to do for this project as I can, while also being as short as possible. So this is the masks project, and it's not just about masks. It can really be anything, and I'll show you that in a little bit as we kind of go through the different expectations for the project. I want you to obviously be paying a lot of attention to lighting and perspective and composition, things that you've learned in the past, and adding some other elements like framing, thinking about the background, and then some more Photoshop techniques as well. So let's get to it, shall we? So your assignment is to take 8 pictures in total. This is a handout that will be available for you on the website as well as in a shared folder. And it says obviously that there are 8 pictures in total that you will need to take. There's some examples here. A lot of this is about kind of going beyond the structural elements that we've had in previous projects towards more of a conceptual, symbolic, and interpretive focus. You're going to be telling a story now. You're trying to create a narrative. You're creating a world rather than just documenting a world that already exists and only making decisions about cropping and perspective and lighting. You're going to be making decisions all across the board. Where to place your subject, what kind of subject you want to have. You might be posing people that you're using in this project. Siblings are great focus for this, having them wear masks and whatnot. So you're going to be turning in 8 pictures total. At least 3 must include frameception or frame within a frame. I like to call it frameception, and we'll talk a little bit more about what that means. But basically, you're framing your focal point with some other element in the photograph besides just the regular square that you use to crop your photographs. At least 3 pictures must involve relationships, meaning that there's more than one person or one personified element in the picture, that there's an interaction between 2 different people. And then we're going to learn about how to apply a texture over the whole photograph using photograph and using Photo P and Photoshop, which I'll show you in a little bit. So texture, this is what I was talking about with texture. This photograph has a like scratchy type of wall that's added on over the image, but you can still see the image. I'm going to show you how to do that in Photoshop. That's one of the elements of this project that you have to do. This is an example of the same picture without an added texture, and this one has a light leak on it to add a different element to it. You might like the previous photo better, but this is just to show you an example of what I mean, the before and after of adding texture to photograph, which I'm going to show you how to do in Photo P and Photoshop. You're also going to have to do a more extensive Photoshop Photo P tutorial in which you go through a number of steps, taking 3 photographs and putting them together to make one image and to basically create a ghostly type photograph. So as you can see, there's a little ghost hiding in this area. You're going to take a major photograph of a background. This is in a kind of like a gangway between 2 properties. And you're going to edit that photo, and then you're going to take a texture, which is like the white spots, the light spots, put it over it, and then you're going to take a third image of something that you're going to use as a ghost, a person, or whatnot, and you're going to put them into the photograph. And I'm going to show you how to do all of this step by step with a video tutorial as well as a handout like so. But this will be a 9th photograph that you're turning in along with your other 8 photographs. So what counts as a mask? Really anything. This isn't just a masks project. It's a covered figure project. What I'm trying to do is I'm trying to move you towards more of a portrait-based focus. And I know that there's a lot of pressure that often comes along with taking pictures of other people. And a lot of times the person that you're taking a picture of feels a lot of pressure to look a certain way. And the masks kind of remove all of that. It's like they allow you to take pictures of people, but while adding this playful element that doesn't necessarily make it about the person, it becomes about something much larger than that. So You can make something out of paper, a paper plate mask. You can draw something on a piece of paper and put it over someone's face. This is a bag, drawing on a paper bag, but literally just putting a bag over someone's head would actually count for this project. Find weird stuff in your house, things like in the kitchen that could be used to go over someone's face in a crazy way to create something of a mask that isn't really supposed to be a mask. Makeup, but it really should be makeup that's out of the ordinary. The whole idea is that these things are out of the ordinary. It's not something that you would normally put on your face. So just like regular sunglasses would not count, but really crazy sunglasses, or like 3 sunglasses on someone's face, that would count. So if you're going to do makeup, make sure that it's kind of extreme. You could do face paint. Obviously, we're close to Halloween, so there's a lot of that available. Just putting dirt or any other type of element on someone's face would count as well. There's always somebody in every single photo class I teach that has a gas mask. Things like that are also able to be used. A welder's mask, anything that covers the face, again, that we don't normally see on somebody. The hood is kind of a nice element, but also, the paint splatter that's all over the place as well is another added element. Um, and of course, like anything. So in this picture right here, you see there is, it's just like a drape or a sheet of some sort, a bandana that's going across the face in an interesting way. Again, if it's used in a way that it's not supposed to normally be used and it's covering the face, that counts, right? So I don't want anybody to tell me that they couldn't find a mask for this project. Okay? Anything can work. You can also use dolls and figurines, teddy bears. The trick is they must be used in a way that is personifying them and that is symbolic or increases the narrative. So personification means that they have to kind of feel alive. They're inanimate objects, but make them feel alive, like such as with the picture of the Batman. He's washing his cape, so you can see him washing his cape. And it makes it seem like he's like standing there letting that happen. The teddy bear is kind of like standing on their own, but it's like they have their head against the curb because they're sad. Looks like there's a lot of destruction behind them. But also to push a narrative or tell a story in a larger way, such as with the person holding all these dolls. It's a part of the added element to the photograph. So even though this person doesn't have a mask or anything covering their face pretty much except for their hair, the dolls add that extra element to it to tell a story, to add a narrative. This is a broken doll, and it's used to kind of like cover up the face a little bit, and it's kind of a really creative way that they're using it with the eye. I've had other students have these porcelain dolls and break them and use their parts in really cool ways, or even like Lego figurines or any type of figurine. But again, you're trying to make them seem alive or telling a story in a very specific narrative type of way. A lot of this project is influenced by Ralph Eugene Meatyard, who was a photographer in the 50s, and he's best known for his images that were populated with lots of dolls and masks. But a lot of them were just like his families and friends, so they were like taking a normal family portrait to the next level, such as with this image where it's just like a normal portrait, but the masks take it to another level. It makes it different. It changes the dynamic of the imagery. He created a fantasy world by using these masks. He asks family members to model for him, and this, again, in this COVID type environment, those are going to be the people you need to turn to. Ask your parents, your guardians, any family that's living with you, your siblings. Siblings are great for this project, especially if they're younger siblings, because they might feel a little bit more inclined to do it for you. Because our younger siblings look up to us. Put a spin on these normal photographs with these masks and playful elements that you're going to be adding into these images, and really, get someone to have some fun with you with this project. Here's another example of a Ralph Eugene Meatyard. Notice the hand, hands and crazy gloves could also be used in this project. Imagine like putting that over someone's face as well to add another element. The doll that's also there comes into play. Here's another one. This is a really bad image of it, but also notice the background, because that's going to be another part of this project. Notice where this photo was taken and some of the elements I can add to the creep factor, because your background and setting is is that other element that we're kind of like taking to the next step. It's not just about like the subject you're taking a picture of, but where are you going to take this picture? You have to, plan. You have to say, okay, we're going to go take this at this time of day with this type of lighting, and we're going to be in this area, and I need you to come with me and wear this, and I'm going to pose you in a way. You're taking a lot of control over your photographs. And this is what we're going to be doing in the in-person opportunity at the school. We're going to be kind of like setting the stage for all these different photographs using the back 40 and architectural elements of the building. Where are you going to take this picture? Where are some good ideas? Fields, the forest, roadsides, along streams, swampy areas, vacant parking lots, or, non-vacant parking lots that are full of people. Maybe the cars can be really great backgrounds. Sometimes it's really interesting to take pictures of someone wearing a mask in a very ordinary, well-populated area, like going through the grocery store or something, and then there's this random person wearing a mask. How does that throw things off and change the narrative interpretation of the photograph? Because it is a COVID world, what about at your house, your basement, your attic, your garage, your sheds, anywhere that's architecturally interesting outside of the norm would be a good place to kind of look for this project. Here's an example that students did. And again, this fire is actually added in that with that textural element that I was talking about that you're going to learn how to do in Photoshop. But these students took this in their backyard along a shed. The wood grain of the shed creates a really great background for this project. Again, think about framing. What can frame your subjects? Doors are great frames. What is a great background that also has a square to it, or a framed area, a window, a hole in a wall, right? But again, thinking about like also just taking a picture of someone wearing a mask on the street with other people walking around, and how that's kind of interesting. Again, this project is falling over Halloween, so there's an opportunity there, right? Again, find a mask, make a mask. There's no explanation needed. The dollar store sells masks. Thrift stores are full of masks right now. Fake hands, gloves, make something, paint something, just put, mud on someone's face if they're willing to do it. Leaves, putting leaves on someone's face, that could be very interesting as well. Putting them behind a curtain that's sheer where you can see through it, but there's patterns on it. Ralph Eugene Meatyard used masks to universalize his subjects rather than make portraits about individuals, as I've mentioned. Think about the masks that we put on to hide our true selves in everyday life. How can you really push the narrative and symbolism in this project? Again, anything. This person put a pot on his head and it counts. This is actually a photograph of me. A student asked me to wear this bag, and they just put little black dots on it. Glow sticks made to look like glasses. That's not normal. That's out of the ordinary. Splattering paint on someone's face. Painting a nicer mask on someone's face, right? There's lots of opportunities for you. Again, dolls work too. What do they represent? Think about that. What does the figurine, the Lego figure, the doll represent in your photograph? Factory made, commercialism, things that are broken, discarded, thrift store things, right? They represent a physical human presence, whether in a scene alongside people or instead of people. You're creating a world, you're creating a scene, right? Here's an example of a Ralph Eugene Meatyard with that. Here are some more examples with using it, but again, thinking about how they seem alive, personified as part of the environment, that they're interacting with the environment is really important. Composition and framing. Again, this is a really important element. I want you to have at least 3 pictures that have frame within a frame, or frameception as I like to call it. Notice the picture right here, how the window is framing the main subject of this photograph, right? There's different types. They can be architectural, natural, human, and others. They emphasize, draw more attention into our subject matter. So notice how the black paint on the wall behind acts as a frame within the frame in this picture. Notice the blurred motion as well. So if you get someone moving really crazy and you have a lower light situation, your camera phones are probably going to pick up a bit of motion, which could be cool. Again, old shed, but with a door open. Doors are great framing subjects. Holes in walls or windows. Natural things like tree branches, the way that the tree branches here create a frame that we look into to see our subject. Same kind of thing going on here. This was a student took this of their sibling while they were trick or treating, and the bushes, the trees around it create a frame element. So I mentioned the COVID isolation in your house, attics and basements and things like that. This is a photographer named Lauren Simonuti. She actually committed suicide a few years ago, so she's no longer with us. And she was suffering from mental illness, and so she socially isolated herself into her house because she started hearing voices, hearing three distinct voices actually in her right ear, and it kind of drove her a little bit crazy. And so she had like a self-imposed isolation. But all of these pictures are taken within her house. And so again, trying to think about how the COVID lockdown isolation can be a part of taking this project to the next level, really having fun with it, interpreting in interesting ways. And these are some of just her pictures. The title of this photo is "Tomorrow is my birthday and all my friends are here." Tomorrow is actually my son's birthday, really, and you know we're not having your normal birthday party. We're just having a small get together with some family in a socially distanced situation outside. Luckily enough, it's nice enough outside, but it's interesting to think about how these events play out in our COVID world. Think about how you can bring that into this project. Here's some other examples of Lauren Simonuti's work. Again, using dolls, props. Here's some of my own work that I did actually in college using masks. And here's like a Mickey Mouse type cartoon glove as well. And trying to play around with symbolism. I was actually building off of the theme of a phrase in a poem that I really liked called "The White of Uncertainty." And I did this whole series called "The White of Uncertainty" and using masks and gloves and things like that. These are self-portraits. You might want to take some pictures of yourself with this project. You can, right? Maybe you can ask someone else to take the picture for you. Put your camera on a timer. If you have a tripod for it, that'll be really helpful. If not, how can you stand it up to take the picture of yourself, right? But use a timer, use everything that you have to your advantage. And sometimes our limitations actually enhance our creativity. So if you have to take pictures of yourself, how can you use that to actually make better photographs? Notice the framing going on in these pictures, another prop like an umbrella. What other props can you use? Again, the motion element, having somebody moving while you're taking the picture could create a ghostly type of situation. This is in an alley as well, which is a great background. Going to a forest or a woods, having the streets in the background or the basement. Don't worry, she's wearing clothes under that towel. But this was a really awesome basement that I thought I could take advantage of to take pictures at the time. And, again, no explanation needed on the mask that you're using. Putting a box on someone's head. I actually had that box kind of carry through in a series that kind of told a story using the box in a very specific interpretive way, as long as the string, which are more props. Here are some student examples really quick. Again, framing that door jamb, right? And here is a great example of the textural element added on top of a photograph. They had a really cool mask. Love the perspective and the leading lines in this picture. So you're taking everything that you've ever done and bringing it into one example. And of course, check out the website where I have some more student examples, and we will go over that as well at mrsakura.blogspot.com. Click on the photo one tab at the top and go to the masks project. Look at some of the other examples I have there of students' work, and we'll talk about this in a bit and have fun with this. Really, I want this to be a project where you get excited about and have a lot of fun playing around with and asking people to engage with you. Cheers.